let's do our due diligence and talk about Tokon. What's good, everyone? My name is Sen. Welcome back to the channel. And very recently, we got a leak related to Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. I know this is just a me thing, but I never really believe anything is actually a leak anymore. I think it's usually just a ploy to get some good PR and maybe a little hype about any kind of news out there. But that's just me. Now, with some good comes a little bit of bad as well. It seems as if to access the game, you will need a PSN account, even to play on PC, at least out of what it seems. I don't really understand why that is, but one of the worst things a fighting game can do is add restrictions for you to be able to play it. I think it's the case that some countries and regions don't have access to PlayStation services. I'm hopeful that if enough people end up complaining about this, this will be redacted and everyone can move and groove at their own leisure. Edgewise, I guess you might need a VPN or something. If you want to call this a positive, we know what the official roster size is going to be on launch, with the initial roster size of 20 characters, which for a 4 vs 4 game is not massive by any measure, but I do happen to stand with what I've said in previous videos that this game feels less of a 4v4 game and feels more like a 1v1 with up to 3 assists. So I don't see this as a huge problem, but they are going to be rolling out what seems to be a steady flow of characters upon release or after release. So if your playstyle is to weave in and out of your team a bit more fluidly, or if they change some of the system mechanics with that style of play in mind and enabling that a little bit more, we should be alright. Before we talk about the roster, I do want to yap just a bit with you guys. I really want this game to be good. I participated in the last 2 betas of the game, had a decent time in the first beta, but by the time the second beta rolled around, it was more of the same, and I just ended up feeling like there wasn't a lot here. As of right now, I kind of only have one main game that I'm rocking with these days, which is 2XKO, and I'm sure a lot of you already know what's going on with the game right now from a sheer optics standpoint. So I want another game that I can really get behind and play it as much, or if I have to jump ship on 2XKO if things really do turn for the worse, a game I can actually migrate to. From my last play session with Tokon, I just felt really limited with what I could do. Part of that was the lack of training mode to actually figure stuff out, but it really comes down to the actual build of the game. It just feels like it's leaning a little too hard into being a beginner-friendly fighting game, and it's trying so hard to feel fair that you don't get the power fantasy that you should feel when you're playing a tag fighter. First off, I think the game's just a little too slow out of what I remember. I think moving around the screen should be just a bit faster. I think the movement being a little bit closer to something like a Dragon Ball FighterZ would only serve to benefit the actual overall feel of the game and make moving around feel good. I'm not super sure on how you'd fix this next point, but the combos didn't feel super good to do. It feels like they're lacking some level of impact, making the hits feel very slappy. I wasn't feeling any real weight behind my combos and when I was landing any major hits. And of course, it didn't feel like we had a ton of sauce to work with, but that could be potentially solved by actually having some time with the game in training mode. If my memory is correct, and I could be wrong here, I don't remember the characters having command normals. Maybe they potentially had one, but if they don't, give each character a goddamn command normal to have some actual unique shit, and if they already have one, fuck it, give them another. Routing is pretty similar from character to character until we can get some real time with cast, but I think adding some command normals is a good way to get the creative juices flowing on some different routing with characters, or help inform what they want to do in neutral a bit more. I would also be really happy with a slight damage change to the auto combos in the game. There were people that complained in 2XKO about the auto combos in the game just being too good, and I don't think the light auto combo in Tokon is amazing or anything like that. If I remember, I do think the light auto combo has some functionality in ways of unlocking an assist for you, if memory serves, which is good utility, but I remember the medium auto combo in particular really chunking your health bar, and just thought it was doing a bit too much damage. The biggest change I would make is a bit more closely related to the system mechanics of the game, and it's give the option of how your assists work. They can maintain how assists work currently and just add a label on it saying stylish or simple, or however the fuck you want to tag that, but have a second option to have the assists function like how they do in neutral with a standard assist option. That way we can break off some of these chains on how we can play the game. If for whatever reason you aren't familiar, every assist in the game turns into a lariat style assist on hit or on block, which really homogenizes the way offense or combos are structured, and for someone like me, that really hits in a way that I'm not super keen on. This way you can preserve the way the game is structured currently for new players or those that just want to play the game in this way, but opens the door a little bit for anyone that wants the way that they play the game to feel a little bit more unique to them. And I think this only aids the way in which you actually select your assists as well. You might spend a little bit more time considering the way in which your team is structured and what order you actually want to unlock your assists. Alright, my bad. I yapped a little bit longer than I expected. My fault. Let's talk characters. We have 20 characters to play with, but we already know 8 of them from the betas, so we really have 12 characters to kind of play around with. As of right now, we have Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Miss Marvel, Doom, Ghost Rider, Storm, and Star-Lord. My list of characters that I'm going to be dropping is a bit of what I would expect, as well as some personal bias tied along there. You know, it's a bit boring to think of exactly what characters I would expect to be in the game, so let's add a little bit of our own flavor on that. The first two immediately came to mind, frame one, which would be Thor and Hulk. I mean, it's a Marvel game, right? And I feel like that's going to be the sentiment placing a lot of characters on the list. I'm not really sure how they would exactly shape Thor in this game. I mean, you could just say Marvel 3 Thor and be done with it, but they've already shown that they're willing to break out of the groundwork that previous games may have laid with characters like Spider-Man. And then Hulk could just be the big grappler guy archetype, right? Maybe some shockwave-like moves, hard to say. Anyways, 2 slots down, 10 to go. This is going to be harder than I thought. This next one is for the vibes, if you know what I mean, but maybe something like a Black Widow, and you could structure her similarly the same way you would with Caitlyn from 2XKO. Really, we're just looking to fill out the zoner archetype. I know Caitlyn doesn't perform exactly like a zoner, but taking the basic structure of how her kit works, I think would absolutely apply well to something like Black Widow. But if you're not vibing with Black Widow, I think functionality-wise, you could swap her in and out with someone like Hawkeye and fill the same job. Or fuck it, throw in both, I don't know. If we're really running out of ideas, I'll just say both, but I don't see that happening. Alright, 9 left. This one is pure bias, 110%, but I really want Taskmaster back in another game. I know he's too obscure for your core Marvel audience, I just want to play him in another game other than Marvel 3. That's kind of the extent of it. I love Taskmaster, I think he's really sick. Of course, from a gameplay standpoint, I think he'd be more than cool. Number 8 is Nova. I feel like if you're looking just outside the mainstream of Marvel, I get the idea that Nova's pretty popular. He isn't in Marvel Rivals or anything like that, which hurts that idea a bit, but he was a cast member in Marvel Comics Invasion, and he's in all the newer Marvel fighting games as well. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Nova's a sure thing. Number 7, you gotta have Wolverine, right? He fills out things for the X-Men fan base. He's always such an important character in Marvel IPs. We love to see him in Marvel vs. Capcom games. Wolverine movies do great. He actually is in Marvel Rivals. I feel like if there's a character that's more of a sure thing than Nova's, it's gotta be our boy Logan, right? Oh man, this is ticking down fast. I feel like we gotta give another spot to a female character because it's just too easy to rifle off 6 superheroes from Marvel that are dudes. This one's a bit of a multi-purpose entry at the number 6 slot. It's another female character, another X-Men. I think she could fill out the cast as a potential brawler type depending on which iteration you are referencing, but give me Rogue. Captain Marvel really bombed for a lot of people. I think you could look at a character like Captain Marvel as a sure thing. I fucking hope not. But the iterations of Rogue I'm familiar with actually zap the powers and strength of Captain Marvel. So that's why she's super strong and can fly and shit. So if you want to make this character that can fill out one of her move slots with one of the opponent's moves, I always think that's pretty sick. And because Rogue's power stealing doesn't last forever, you can have it be on a timer. So either you use it or you lose it. Edgewise, you have her power steal be a command grab normally. We really need some more villain energy, and it's incredibly hard not to just drop Spider-Man villains, but I'll give at least one to Green Goblin, and then just have one of his alt colors be Hobgoblin. I think making use of his bombs, he could be a really cool set play character. I have no idea how they'd actually incorporate the glider, but I'll leave that to Arc System Works. Number 4, fuck man, this sucks. I have to, dude. Give me Magneto. You already fucking know why. He's iconic. The same way it's impossible not just to think of how cool it would be to throw a bunch of Spider-Man villains is the same way it feels to not throw in Magneto. He is a staple X-Men fighting game character, and he fills out the villain slot even more. I already feel like we need another girl character for number 3, and while I want to say Jubilee, we already have a fair share of X-Men, so fuck it. Give me magic. She's got a sword. People like her in Marvel Rivals. I used her card a bit in Marvel Snap. Character with big sword. She can be the fucking Dante of this game. I don't know, dude. Number 2, it's either Thanos or Ultron. I don't really care for either of these characters. Thanos makes a lot more sense because of how popular the Marvel movies were, but fuck all that. I'm giving the spot to Ultron. I don't really care either way. I'm not playing either of these fucking characters. For our last character, we filled out a decent amount of villains. We have filled out a couple of archetypes and some female characters as well. This one is pure bias, much like Taskmaster, but I'm really about to make a name for myself because we gotta throw Rogue her other half with Gambit. Obviously, it's easy for Gambit to just huck kinetic cards all day, but I wouldn't mind seeing some more gameplay or movement emphasis on using his staff, maybe just a bit more, maybe, I don't know. I know it feels criminal to not throw Venom in with Spider-Man. I could really easily see Venom being Wave 1 DLC for the game, and I wanted to throw in Goblin because he would, in my mind, fill out the set play archetype a little more, and we haven't seen Goblin before in a fighting game. At least, I don't think so. We've gotten Venom for years, and get this motherfucker Steve Blum on the phone stat. Anyways, that's my thoughts and my list. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and let me know who you're hoping they include, or maybe some things you would do with the game before it drops. Thanks for watching, keep on fighting, and get ready for the next battle. I'll see you guys later. Peace.